from the Armenian Genocide. There is a bill in the House of Foreign Affairs Committee regarding the Armenian Genocide. There's a similar bill in the Senate going on. I want to know if you agree with the genocide bill, and if you agree at the fact that the Turkish government committed a genocide against the Armenian people in 1915.
First answer will be Tom Campbell.
Oh, I do. When I was a congressman, I co-sponsored the resolution with Congressman Jim Rogan. Jim Rogan is a hero to me, by the way. He became a judge. He lost his re-election to Congress because he had the courage to assist bringing to the correct constitutional process President Bill Clinton when he failed to tell the truth under oath. Jim remains a good friend of mine. He's now on the bench. He cannot do any endorsing. But you might remember it was his resolution. I was proud to sponsor it then. It's not a question that should separate America from the present government of Turkey. It's a question of historical fact. The criticism that's given is that Turkey is an important NATO ally. Yes, I sure recognize that. And that by identifying the genocide that happened in 1915 and subsequent years, we somehow put Turkey into a position of comparability to other governments that have done genocides. But it was not the government today, nor any logical connection to it. Why is it important that we identify genocides? Obviously, because we pray and hope that they never happen again. If you refuse to identify the truth, then it's a little bit easier to see it happening again. And so that's why I think it is important. It does not offend the fundamental relationship between a modern Turkey, a modern secular state with no connection to the government that undertook that genocide. I want to say one last thing. I was in the Africa subcommittee when I was in Congress, and I visited Rwanda in '96. And it was important to call that what it was too, a genocide. Do you know that President Bill Clinton refused to call it a genocide because if it was a genocide, we would have to do something. That was what came to light. If there's a genocide, you have to do something. You can't just say, well, it's an African problem, we're going to leave. So that's a good modern example of the same issue.
Assemblyman DeVore, 2 minutes.
Well, the short answer is yes, of course I'd support it. The fact is that, as Professor Campbell correctly stated, we today have a secular government that is a successor to Kemal Ataturk's Young Turks. It's not the Ottoman Empire, although the current government is an Islamic party government, which presents a little bit of a problem politically for them. I have to point out that while Turkey certainly is an ally in NATO, Turkey was a nation that denied access to the 3rd Infantry Division that was supposed to come down through Turkey and into Kurdistan during the initial stages of the Iraq War in 2003. So while they are a NATO ally, we have had a rocky relationship with Turkey. I think it's high time that we tell the truth and we move on. It is very important from the standpoint of the historical record, as well as from the standpoint of certainly the nation that I would say has the greatest moral standing in the world, to come out and just tell the truth about this issue. And lest we mistake or forget the importance of these historical truths, it was none other than the Chancellor of Germany himself, Adolf Hitler, who pointed out when he was laying out his plans to exterminate the Jewish population of Western Europe, he asked the rhetorical question, after all, who remembers the Armenians? Well, that was only a few decades after that genocide that he said this, probably about slightly more than 20 years after it actually happened. And here he is saying, after all, who remembers the Armenians? So the fact is that it's relevant today because you have a regime in the Islamic Republic of Iran who has sworn multiple times to wipe a UN member state nation off the face of the map in the state of Israel. That as soon as they acquire nuclear weapons, their intent is to use them against Israel. At least that's what they say. And that's why it's important to weigh in on these historical issues.
Final 1-minute rebuttal to Tom Campbell.
There's nothing to rebut, but Assemblyman DeVore made an important reference to Iran, so I'd like to emphasize that as well. Here's what I see is happening right now. Ahmadinejad is not going to be deterred by sanctions. Honest to goodness, can anyone believe it? We're really going to get serious on sanctions now. We really, really mean it. No, please, don't tell me that. Ahmadinejad has a plan to be the leader of the rejectionist states who wish to lead the Muslim world against Israel, and having the nuclear weapon is his device for doing that. Therefore, I've gone public a couple of months ago now, and I said the United States needs to remove the ambiguity and say clearly right now, if Israel needs to destroy that nuclear capability, the way it did Syria's nuclear capability in September of 2008, the way it did Iraq's nuclear capability in 1981, the position of the United States should be clear up front. We support Israel in doing so. It's only that way that you might be able, if there is a cooler head to prevail, to have that happen in Tehran.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Baden, and I'm a family practice physician in private practice. And I'd like to ask you about the healthcare reform bill that just passed.